this is the digital tool, student success. We're going to be going over kind of technology and a lot of different forms, variations, both from practical to kind of the why behind it. So let me introduce myself. I'm Luke Whiting. I manage the tech department side of Help Desk Plus, located in Moody Library. We'll talk about that more later.
I'm Andy Clark. I manage the equipment checkout side of Help Desk Plus in Moody Library. We will harp on this, but we'll say right up top, we are like a walk-up access point for tech support, help, things like that. Also, if you can check out things. But throughout this, you will hear us say frequently, come see us, because we're a help desk, so we want you guys to come see us so that we have people to help. You'll hear that a lot, but I just want to leave that up top. We are in the garden level of Moody Library, so if you guys, you have the big fountain in the middle of campus, then there's the field called Fountain Mall, it's like a big field at the end of it. The other end of that field from the fountain is Moody Library. And if you walk in on the first floor and you go downstairs, you're in what's called the garden level, it's the basement. And we're in a big desk right there. There's a picture of it later in our presentation you'll see. But come see us. So, all right, cool. So, like Luke said, we're talking about technology, things like that. Oh, by the way, so this presentation is online and it's available for you guys to follow along on your own device if you'd like to. Also to refer to later on, because I know you guys get like a ton of information during the short time period for orientation. So I'm going to give you guys the link for this to go pull it up later, because every sort of section, there's like, click here for more info, here's a link to a video, all kinds of stuff like that, that we're not going to get into, but there's more info if you guys want it. Only one thing. So to access this presentation, you can go to baylor.edu/helpdesk/tour. That'll take you to this exact presentation. There's also a PDF version available if you have accessibility needs, need like a screen reader or something like that. If you go to baylor.edu/helpdesk/tour2, number 2 at the very end of that, it will take you to a PDF version with all the exact same information, so it's compatible with screen readers, if that is the thing that you are concerned with. So, let's dive in. Right up top, this kind of tells you what our presentation is about. At the beginning, we're going to take a little bit of time to talk about literacy, what that means in today's world and in a university context, and then we're going to talk about some technology and some tools that help you engage with that, and myriad other things related to tech here at Baylor. So, right up top, here's a picture of some stacks in our community library. Again, come see it; it's great. Where you get all the knowledge. This quote right here is a big full quote about literacy. I'm not going to read it to you because you're going to have a lot of time to have professors read stuff from presentations to you over the next 4 years. But the gist of this is, these days, we receive information, we encounter information in a lot of different formats. Sometimes it's the written word. Right? If I talk about literacy, a lot of times you think of like books and writing. That's kind of traditional, historically, how we talk about being literate. But you also encounter information in video, right, or in audio format. A kind of weird newer example, something like a meme, right? This communicates information that's kind of a combination of a picture and text, and also like playing on other ideas that are
Culture and all that.
Yeah, so like the idea is that there are a lot of different ways we encounter information now. It's not as simple as reading books is the only way to learn or to receive information. The ability to kind of understand information that comes in from all these different ways you can encounter it, to take that in, internalize it, actually understand it, process it, and then be able to communicate it. That process is being skilled and being literate in information and media, in tech, and all these sorts of things. That is kind of what we're talking about with like literacy in this context. And this talks about the ability to sort of do that, receive it, understand it, translate it into something else so you can communicate successfully. This next one here, this is a quote from one of our core curriculum statements at Baylor, and it talks about how part of what we want to do here at Baylor, while you guys are students, we want to prepare you for the world after you're in college. Obviously right now, the most exciting thing is like the next 4 years, all the cool things you're going to do while you're in college. But we want to think longer term and set you up for success once you're done here at Baylor. And to do so, we want to make you skilled in these sorts of literacies, to be able to take in information this way and that way and make sense of it, and then communicate it, right? To be successful in interacting with the world around you, to understand and think critically, all these sorts of things. This is what we're trying to do. And Oh, actually, and obviously technology is going to play a big part in that, which is what we're going to get into in the course of this. But I want to pause here for a moment. This picture, I think, is a good way to kind of see what I'm talking about in action. So obviously there's a lot going on in this picture. This is a picture of a now alumna of the university and a professor emeritus. He's a fairly recently retired English professor. His actual name is Tom Hanks. That's not a joke. He's a wonderful, wonderful man. But I want to put a little I Spy with you guys. So let's look at this picture. I know it's a little washed out, but what do you guys see here? Just shout it out. There's no wrong answers. I just want to hear, what do we see in this picture?
It might be wrong answer.
Looks like the old guy's on social media and the younger person's reading.
Yeah, that's a good point. So the student has a book, right? She's reading a book of some sort. It looks like it says "Lead Like Jesus," I think is the title. Good Baylor book. And then so Dr. Hanks is on his phone, maybe on social media. He could be reading for that matter. We don't really know, but he's using his phone. Obviously, that's sort of a very obvious dichotomy of the written word, the print word, versus the a digital version of the written word. What else can we see here?
AirPods.
Yeah, AirPods. Yeah, that's a really common thing these days. Even more so than when we had this picture, this presentation a couple years ago. So that's another way we consume information, right? Audio, podcasts, music, what have you. I don't know here if she's like listening to music while she's studying. Maybe she's like a crazy multitasker and is listening to something with information while she's also reading information. Some people are geniuses, I don't know. But that's another good example of technology being a part of her information intake. What else do we see here? Yeah, there's a laptop at her feet. You see that? So it looks like it's charging. There's a little cable running in front of it. So possible maybe she was working on a project, maybe a paper, and she paused to like check one of her sources and read a section again, something like that. Maybe pretty common sort of rhythm of working on a research paper. But she's definitely using a laptop, which is again a key component of what you're going to be doing here at Baylor. Laptops are basically sitting on at this point. We've got to have a computer of some sort. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. But there's one other thing I think that's really worth noting here, and it's a little hard to see. So I want to see if anybody can get it, and if not, we'll help you guys out. But
Has a hat.
yeah, he does. That's a signature Tom Hanks thing. He's from a time when gentlemen often wore hats outside and inside. That's just how it is. This one though, I'll give you a hint. That what I'm looking for here is actually on the professor. Yeah, so you kind of notice that on one wrist he's wearing an analog watch, and on the other wrist he's wearing an Apple Watch.
He still has this. He came in the other day, and he still has 2 watches.
So that's a unique way to do it, but I think that's a perfect encapsulation in like a small idea of the way that you have sort of the analog, the written word, these traditional forms of information and literacy with the newer stuff, the emerging technologies and whatnot, all sort of together in the same soup of how we experience the world. So with that in mind, we're going to talk about a number of technological tools that are available to you guys here as students at Baylor and how they can help you towards this ultimate goal of becoming skilled and literate. I want to couch everything that we talk about now in that framework of helping you succeed at this kind of understanding and processing information. Again, here, this is sort of a further distillation of that original quote. The idea is to be able to kind of follow along with this. Information is going to change its form, but then be able to understand it, process it, and re-communicate it. It means you're succeeding, and that's what we want to have to address. So, that said, let's talk about some tools for startup.
So now you know why you want computers. If you didn't know before, now you doubly know. But accessing that technology here at Baylor, we're going to go over some of those actually now very kind of concrete steps. So your Bear ID, if you are here, you should have had a Bear ID assigned to you. That's going to be your first name, _ last name, and then a number. Anyone not know what I'm talking about? Good. That makes things a lot better for you. So
100 on that, or 1,000 on that.
yeah, pretty much. So far, no one has been stumped by that one, so that's good. So this Bear ID is going to be your username for logging into so many different sites, whether it's Canvas, which we'll talk about later, onto the AirBear, all these different places. Your email address is going to actually be that Bear ID, adding the @baylor.edu. And so then you remember also just a quick kind of caveat there, if you've chosen a different, like, preferred first name, that will be your first name for the Bear ID, which hopefully you know that, but I did have last year a freshman come in, couldn't log on, thought her password was wrong for 30 minutes, we're working with her, come to find out, her name was Magdalene, but she goes by Maggie, and her Bear ID was Maggie _ whatever. And so once we figured that out, she was a little embarrassed, but that's why we're here for you, because she came to see us at the Help Desk Plus.
Told you you're gonna.
Moody Library, garden level, right there for you. As long as the library's open pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, if the library's open, we're around to help pretty much.
So, you have your Bear ID, you have your password. That password actually expires every year, so you'll have to change that. Also, along with that, we have a two-factor called Duo. Has everyone here set up Duo? Everyone familiar, at least somewhat with it? So Duo, as annoying as it is also very helpful. It's going to be your best friend in the sense of it's going to help keep you safe. Now, there are going to be a lot of Duo pushes. Almost everything will require a Duo push, so get in your email, getting into Canvas, into Bear Web. All these are words that you may not know what they mean yet, but you will learn, don't worry. Duo does have an app, it goes on your phone. It also, if you have an iPhone, like an Apple Watch, will push to your watch. If you have an iPad, you can have it installed on both, so that way, in case you leave your phone somewhere, you have a second device that you can use. If you are, for some reason, the kind of person who does not want to have a phone around with you, they do sell little Duo dongles. That's a nice little name. It does not require any internet. It just goes on your keychain, and it will allow you to use that just from anywhere you need to access it. So if that is something you're interested in, they sell them in the bookstore. Don't get a lot of need for those, but sometimes every once in a while that does happen. So that's how we log in. That's like going to be your username. That's going to be that way for the next 4 years. That email address will be your email address while you're here. When you graduate, you do get an alumni email that you can get for the rest of your life.
Quick plug here too before it scrolls. I mentioned there's a lot of like click for more info. That's a good example. There's a little click right there, and there's a video. That's going to be repeated. So again, write down that URL, baylor.edu/helpdesk/tour.
Yep.
Please refer to it when you have had time to chew on all the things you've heard in the last day and a half. Check back later. There's a lot of great info for you guys here.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and we're not going to click on all these because that would make this a 5-hour presentation. Yeah, doesn't work. Hey, Wi-Fi. I love Wi-Fi. Okay, right now, if you have not done it yet, let's go ahead and do it. Get your phones out. Let's get on the Wi-Fi. So Baylor's Wi-Fi is called AirBear. Right here, AirBear WPA2. And logging on is very simple. Your username is just what we just talked about, your Bear ID. First, underscore, last name, and then whatever number they assigned you. Your password is the password you created. Now, I'm going to say right now, if you don't remember your password, if you've already forgotten it, which can happen, you have people that can help you. At Moody Library. Just come see us at Help Desk Plus in the garden level right across from the fountain. But seriously, if you are having trouble right now, you can also come up and see us. We can help you after the presentation. So if you do have questions that are very hyper-specific, we will be here. A little bit later, we'll also have time for kind of general questions. So feel free, if you have those, to kind of tuck those away. We want to help you. So is everyone here on iPhone? If you have an Android, it can be a little bit different. There's a couple extra steps. And so if you do have an Android phone and you're finding it difficult, just come see us afterwards and we'll walk you through it. I don't know why Google did that, but they love us.
A couple extra like safety or security.
Yeah, it's just a couple of clicks on that. I will say this, you may have noticed there's a BU guest that you saw in that list of Wi-Fi. It's not a public guest Wi-Fi access. It's designed for visiting like teachers and different scholars and things like that. So it's not open for everyone in case you're hoping to bring your friends. Parents, you're welcome to use your students' like Bear ID to log on the Wi-Fi, but we'd highly recommend until you don't pass that out to other people. One, it's just not secure to give passwords out. Two, anything that you're doing on there, you kind of, as we stand here, you don't assume that we don't know it. If something bad is happening and we can see, oh, this is happening under, Luke's iPhone, then they're going to reach out to me and say, hey, it looks like there's maybe some scammy stuff happening, and so that kind of thing. We do try to keep it safe on campus. We block like certain sites from countries that we know send out bad things, for instance, stuff like that. Anyways, Wi-Fi is awesome. I will say this, you have it in every building. So whether it's in the dorms, and here, in the library, or it's AirBear in all those places, you don't have to log back in every time. The only time you might have issues is kind of in between buildings, just because the Wi-Fi is, is not yet coming from the trees, but it's coming, for sure.
Yeah, someday.
Yes?
Would you recommend this AirBear service for like a PC or something, or should I get some?
This is going to be your Wi-Fi for every device. So yeah, your Macs, PCs, your Chromebooks, your tablets, your gaming consoles. Although if you have that in your dorm, as we'll get to this later, I'd plug it into the wired. It's just a more stable connection. But that's just in general.
But yeah, any wireless need on campus, AirBear can take it.
Yeah, that's a great question. And if you want to craft that now, it's awesome. On a computer or not. All right, so you've got your Bear ID, you have access to the Wi-Fi. Now let's talk about how we're going to access our email, in case you've not done that yet. So you have kind of three major ways that you're going to access your Baylor email. Primarily, we recommend using Outlook. Both on the phone, there's an Outlook app. You download it, you put in your Baylor email, duo push, boom, you have access to your email. And what's great about the Outlook app is it synchronizes with other Outlook, whether it's online or not. The calendar works well, all of the contacts work well. Secondly, you can access Outlook online, going to mail.baylor.edu, put in your Baylor email address, duo push, and there you go. It's Outlook on the web that works in Safari, Chrome, Firefox. You can access it from any of your PCs or Macs or computers. And thirdly, there's the Office 365 application, actual Outlook for your computer, and that works for both Mac and for PC. This cost also leads into the fact that as a Baylor student, you now get access to the complete Office suite for free. So that includes Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, all those things. So do not buy that. You have that for free while you are a student. You can download it by going to portal.office.com. Upper right-hand corner, sorry, that's your right hand, is going to be an Install Office button. It'll right away tell if you have a Mac or a PC. You'll download it, you'll install it, and that is probably, if I were telling you what I would recommend, I'd have the app for Outlook on my phone, and I'd have Outlook on my computer. It synchronizes really well. And email is going to be a big deal. It's going to be a major way that you communicate not only with your classmates, but also with professors. There's going to be like campus-wide emails of something good, something bad's happening. The president sends regular emails, lots of updates. And so you're going to definitely want to have access to that. We don't provide it, but we use, for at least for Windows, the actual built-in Windows Defender. It does, and yeah, Mac has it as well. It's free and it works really well. The only difference that Baylor computers have is we're all being monitored by a single location. So if we see something, but that's actually when I see anyone come in with a computer, I highly recommend if you have a Windows, just using that.
I got a Norton.
Yeah,
Norton's great too.
Norton's great. All those are fine. I could really, well, if you have more questions, come see me. I could go a long time into that. But yeah, we do not provide on that, but we do provide, again, part of our service is that consultation side. So if you just have questions about what's a good program, even if we don't provide it, we will gladly talk with you about it, giving those recommendations, whether it's hardware, software. Again, by come seeing us at Help Desk Plus, the Moody Library, the garden level.
Windows Defender is it's built in if you have Windows.
Yeah, if you uninstall all the antivirus, it automatically kicks in. Yeah, it's nice.
And it's also available for Mac now. It's a pretty recent thing that they've uploaded to Mac as well.
So you have your email, you've been on Wi-Fi, you have your Bear ID, so you can log in and everything else. Another great tool that Baylor provides is the access to a Box account and a OneDrive. Both Box and OneDrive are cloud-based services for storage. So you may have heard of Dropbox, Google Drive, iCloud. Those are all in a very similar vein. Box and OneDrive are provided. Between those two, you have all the space you could ever need, and we highly recommend you download one or both of these to your computer. They also have apps on the phone. They work in PC, they work in Mac, they work on the web. So even if you end up on a computer that you don't have it installed, you can access these files. And this is the beauty of cloud storage. Anything you put in there is now safe, so if your computer blows up, you still have it. It also gives you that easy access, where if you want to access it from a new location, it's there. If you want to share it with someone, it's super easy. Just right-click, get a link, send it to someone, or sometimes it asks to give us their email address, and it'll send them a link. What's also nice about all of these is it's good for collaboration. So you're going to have plenty of time where you're working with 2, 3, or 4 other students, and you have a project. You can make a folder that's shared, and everyone can put their stuff in there. So you're working on the PowerPoint, she's working on the Word document, you're working on the video, whatever it is, you can keep track of each other and also check on each other, make sure things are going well. Not only that, you can collaborate and work simultaneously. I've had students in the library, there's 4 or 5 students in a circle, all on their computer working on the same Word document. It's a great little tool to be able to do that. So aside from that, just the fact that it protects you from that lost 18 hours, computer crashes, you didn't save, awful feeling.
Had it happen, don't let it happen. It sucks. It's a terrible night. Been in the library since like 6 p.m. It's really early in the morning. You gotta go to class. Just don't let it happen. Use cloud storage, back up your documents, all that. A happier story. I've also used I've been in a situation where I was working on an assignment for class, typed something in Word, and I had to go do something else, and so I could save and then switch to my phone or a tablet device and continue working on while I was in another session or something like that. The ability to switch devices is pretty seamless. Big plus side of cloud storage is that sort of access from anywhere kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Another nice thing, it has something called versioning, where if you've been working on it and maybe you realize the past couple hours you had misread the book or something and you already saved it, but all these last 2 pages are wrong, you can actually go online and find a version from 2 hours ago that was automatically saved and revert back to that without having to figure out and hunt back. And so it's a really great tool, and a lot of times the reason people don't have it is they just don't realize it's there. There is an application you can download so that it's actually just a folder on your desktop called Box, and it's super easy. That's where I save everything. It also saves hard drive space, so maybe when you bought your computer, you realized, dang it, I didn't get the biggest hard drive. Well, throwing it in Box means it won't use up disk space on your computer, actually. And you can save anything in it. Documents, videos, music, pictures, anything you need to be thrown in there. Yeah. And same with OneDrive. OneDrive works on both Mac and PC. It's part of the Office suite. If you install it on your PC, it actually kind of seamlessly goes in and will automatically scan your documents. You get a bit more storage space with Box. So if you're doing a large thing, you probably want to use Box, but that's just more. They both are there for you.
Question?
Yeah. Yes.
So if you're buying a new computer
Okay.
for your student, do you recommend buying one or the other versus Apple or Windows-based?
That's a really good question.
It depends is the short answer.
That is, yeah, the real answer is depends. So there is no single place, major that requires one or the other. Certain majors, though, will recommend them. I know, for instance, and we get this question a lot, there is in the business school 1 or 2 classes that require a macro in Excel that only works on PC. Now,
Windows, right?
Well, yeah, Windows. Now, the beauty is, and we'll get to this later, you kind of preempted us, well done, is you have a way, even on a Mac, to have a virtual PC, and we provide the tools for that. And we help you set that up if you need that. And so, what we always tell people is contact the major. So if you know you're going into business, or if you're going to go into math, or going into education, we recommend you contact the department and ask them what do they recommend. Most of them, though, it doesn't matter, and so it's more about what you're comfortable with. And in the end, that's going to be what's more important, because you're going to be the one, your students are the ones spending hours and hours writing papers, doing research, and you want them to not have to struggle with how do I find something in my computer. I hope that answered your question. And if you have any more specific questions, you can come see us out.
We're happy to help you.
Or see us at Help Us Plus in the library right now.
I wasn't kidding. You're going to hear that a lot.
All right, Canvas.
Canvas. So has anyone here used Canvas before? Ring a bell? Got a few.
Nice.
Anybody use Blackboard or Moodle? Yeah, so these are all the same sort of things. These are called learning management systems. That's a fancy term for essentially what is an online portion of your class. For every course you are registered in, you will have an online component in Canvas. Canvas is what we use at Baylor. It's great. Now, what these courses will look like on Canvas is going to vary wildly depending on the course content and your specific professor. Some are wizards and will make this look like it's its own sort of website, and some will put the syllabus and hello, here's my email, and that's it. It's just going to depend. But you will have, most of them at least put the syllabus, thankfully. That was a bit of a battle for a while, but at least that part, we've gotten there. And it's also a way that you can connect with your classmates. So if you're in a class and you miss a day and you need to kind of help catch up, you can actually look at who else is on the roster, connect with them. Hey, I couldn't figure out this question on the homework, that sort of thing. Professors can contact the entire class at once. Some professors who are on the more technical savvy side will even do quizzes and tests actually in Canvas. Your grades will probably be posted in here as well, all that sort of stuff. Like I said, some of this will depend on your major and the faculty they're in. but it's an online hub for a lot of the digital components of your courses. They also have apps for iOS and Android.
And Chromebook.
Yeah, and Chromebook. I recommend you, like, I don't know how much is deployed for the fall semester yet as far as Canvas courses, but it wouldn't hurt to check it out.
Yeah.
Just kind of go poke around, get familiar with it. To log in, the easiest way to do this is to go to baylor.edu/canvas, and there's a big yellow button that says log into Canvas. You click it, and you're going to do Bear ID, and do a push, and that will be like the rest of your life, just like Bear ID, do a push all the time, all the time. But you get in there, and you can poke around and kind of see what's up, get familiar with it, because it's going to be where you'll spend a good amount of time hoping that you got an A on that test because you studied all night for it, right? And didn't like skip studying to go do other stuff. So this software is kind of a new one. I don't know, has anyone heard of Zoom stuff being about? Yeah. I know all of us like never want to be in a Zoom meeting again for the rest of our lives. Unfortunately, we're not quite there yet. I think this is still going to be an important technological tool for you guys. So we have access to the full, like, big boy Zoom. You know, if you use the free version of Zoom, you're limited to like 45-minute meetings, and I think there's attendance caps, stuff like that. Baylor has paid for access to the big fancy version. If you can access that at baylor.zoom.us, there's a single sign-on button, which then again you can do a push, you get the idea. You may have some professors who host classes in this sort of thing, or maybe there's like, you know, working groups, study groups, things like that. This has become a part of the way we do school now, unfortunately. It's not all bad, but I just know it can get old very quickly.
I will add to that, aside from Zoom, also there's a program called Teams, it's part of Microsoft that you have access to. And that's pretty common either for making calls, also for group chats, and having collaboration.
Screen sharing,
Screen
all
sharing
that sort of
is
stuff
great,
as well. Pawprints, this is our on-campus printing solution. So let me say right up top here, do not buy a printer, don't bring one to campus. They're a pain in the neck to install in your dorm anyway, and we've taken care of that for you guys. So, Pawprints is super cool. There are over 120 printers on campus in basically every building. There's not one in the Bennett Auditorium here, but I guarantee you there are probably 5 or 10 in Draper, which is the academic buildings behind you guys over there. And everyone gets credits in their Pawprints account at the beginning of every semester. You get $28 in your account, which is good for up to 800 two-sided black and white pages. The way this works is you install a little app on your computer, and instead of installing like the 120 printers we have on campus, you install some virtual ones, sort of print to this little virtual queue, and the app holds it, and then you go pick a printer that's in a specific location and say, I want to print that document to this printer. So, for example, if I'm working on a paper, and there were a printer here in the auditorium, maybe over in that corner, I would work on my paper, I finish it, and I print to Pawprints, black and white two-sided is the name of the queue. The app would then tell me your print job has been held in the queue. I go log in, and I can release it and say, I want to release that paper I was working on to the printer in the auditorium, and it would spit out in the printer over there in the corner. It's very simple. It sounds complicated. I promise it's really not that bad. More information at baylor.edu/pawprints. You can kind of read about it until you get the installer. There are also ways to upload and email your print jobs as like backups in case the app's being kind of weird. You can release your jobs from your phone. You can check your usage, check how much balance you have left. You can also track the environmental impact of your printing by looking on our site, all that sort of stuff.
Any trees if you could.
Or save. Honestly, save a lot because it's not everyone's buying all the paper, so we gotta just make sure it's centralized. And additionally, that $28, occasionally we get people a little worried about, well, I'm going to print so much, I'm going to run out of money. First off, that virtually never happens. But if it does, if you're the one person, the one exception that proves the rule, don't fret, because if you go beyond $28, your balance will go negative, and then whatever overage, be it 7 cents or 14 cents, will just get charged to your student account. So it's not a big deal. It also won't happen, so don't worry about it. But yeah, so I skipped this, jumping back, so that good for up to 800 two-sided black and white pages. You get $28. The cost per page depends on if it's black and white and if it's one-sided or two-sided. So like color one-sided is the most expensive way to do it. They get up to being like 32 cents a page maybe, but if you print like two-sided black and white, it's 7 cents a page, so that $28 goes a long way. You can print like literal books at that point, but don't actually print literal books because that's silly. But yeah, so that's Pawprints. You will get very familiar with it very quickly, I promise. ResTech, this is neither one of us. I'm just kind of here in the presentation.
Yeah, so there are people in the dorms that will be there to help you specifically with that technology in your residency. So with getting you hooked up, your computers, your gaming consoles in your dorms. As I said before, the dorms do have Ethernet, so they have a wired plug-in, which is what we recommend, whether it's a desktop or your Xbox Series X, if you're lucky you got one. So you can plug that in. PS, if you're in the back, whatever. It's fine. Anyways, yes. So there is that. You have AirBear, so you have Wi-Fi access. There isn't cable, so you won't have access to that, but you can stream everything, which is where it all is anyways. So that's all you would need there. We won't be the ones that are actually in your dorm room. As I said, there will be people there. I do want to take a second to plug. So let's just say you can't come to Moody Library, and you can't come see us at the garden level. Not only are we sad, we still do have a way for you to access help. So you have access to our phone. So 254-710-HELP is our help line for ITS help. 8 to 5, you can call us and we'll be there to help you. And if you have Teams, we can actually even use that to remote on the computer if need be. Also, you can email us, helpdesk@baylor.edu. You can just email that and say it's over the weekend and you know something's coming up. Email your questions. That's 2 different ways to reach us if you just can't get to us, or if it's maybe really late, like 1 in the morning, we're not there at that point. So I meant to plug that earlier. We love having you see us. It's a lot easier, as you know, to help someone face to face. But if that isn't possible, you can always call us 254-710-HELP. Email us helpdesk@baylor.edu.
Back to ResTech for just a moment. I don't know if we actually said this, but there's a designated person in every dorm who is in charge of like tech for that. So like Pinland has a ResTech person, and Brooks College has one, and Brooks Flats, et cetera, et cetera. They all have one who is the sort of on-site person to help with, hey, I can't get the Ethernet to work or this or that. Move in and stuff like that. They'll be all around the building helping get everything set up. So that there is a person sort of close by if you're having residential tech questions, and then if it gets beyond sort of the stuff in the dorm.
Yeah, they're not there. They are not your go-to for like, oh, my computer broke. 2 guesses who that is to help you with your computer broke. Ah, she got it right away. That's right. That's us. We're here to help you. Yes. How did you know that? Man, this guy is reading between the lines here. Super subtle. Super subtle.
Yeah. So we talked at the beginning about literacy and taking in information, processing it, understanding it, and then communicating it back out, right? So a lot of what you do in your coursework is that last part, that communicating it back, right? So your professor is going to kind of measure how well you've learned by how can you communicate this back to me? If I give you a question, can you respond correctly? Can you write me an essay, etc. But often we're kind of venturing into more exciting ideas than writing a boring old paper. Sometimes that includes multimedia projects, like say a video. We have a great platform on campus called Kaltura. It's a video platform, and there's a public-facing component called Media Space. And this first list item here is talking about Media Space, where you can create and upload videos and share them. Excuse me. It's a great platform for that. Also, your Bear ID is functional as an enterprise Adobe ID. That does not mean you get like just free access to the entire Creative Cloud. It is on every publicly available computer on campus will have the Creative Cloud already on it. You can log on to those with your Bear ID. You do get some of the apps like Adobe Spark, which is actually how we made this presentation. That's available to you for free. And then you do get a deep discount on the Creative Cloud. Like I said, it's not free. You do get a significant savings. And then there's also the ability to set up a WordPress site at blogs.baylor.edu if that's your thing. All of those are other ways you can sort of create and publish content. Sometimes school projects, sometimes personal stuff. That is all there.
So, before we talk about buying a computer, so you have not yet bought a computer and you're looking at buying, I would highly recommend that before you leave, you actually go to the bookstore. The bookstore always has really good deals on Macs and PCs. Mostly because we get an education discount that's deeper than the one that you can get just by going to Apple by yourself. So both Dell and Apple, those are actually authorized resellers, and in fact, if you have like Apple Care, whatever Dell's version of that, the bookstore has a little tech department there that can do that. So if your watch or something breaks and you have Apple Care, you can take it there. We, unfortunately, do not do hardware at Help Desk Plus and Moody Library. If your screen actually breaks or your hard drive breaks, we will actually send you to the bookstore. We work with them for those hardware-related fixes. Everything else, software-wise, we help you with. And we can help you like diagnose and be like, oh yes, this definitely is not something we can fix.
We can look and tell you your screen's broken.
Yes. I don't have to. Yeah. It's missing a screen. Yeah. You definitely need that. We're good that way. Really good that way. So, to buy, you haven't yet, highly recommend you go there now, or go after this, or at some point this week.
Yeah, not right now.
Yes, please, wait just a few more minutes. You can go online also, they have some deals as well, but they always, especially during orientation, run a lot of sales.
Yeah, they run a big
I
sale.
think right now there's one you get like free AirPods if you buy a Mac as well, so that's kind of nice. I don't have AirPods, I should buy a Mac. Maybe. Anyways, not only though is hardware on sale, there's also a lot of like software. Now, what's great about this, you see a list of here, Windows 10, 365, all that stuff. So there's a lot of free software. We already mentioned the Office. A lot of those ones up there, whether it's the JMP, SAS, all that, that's actually like statistical programs. So unless you're going that route, you won't need it. The big takeaway from all of this is if you are required to use a software for class, we will find a way, you will be provided. Sometimes that means a free download. So like these statistical programs, you actually can download and run on your computer. There are some programs though that maybe just because of licensing it isn't feasible to actually like install on 5,000 computers. So if there is a program that requires something like that, they will provide access via labs. Like Andy was talking about, Photoshop, the Adobe Suite is available on all the computers that you find around campus that you can log into. And you can even check out computers, which we'll get to a little bit of that later, but you can check out laptops if you just need something for a couple weeks. This Windows 10 here, this goes back to what we were saying before. If you need to have like a virtual machine, let's say you have a Mac, and you need a virtual PC running, you actually get a free license for Windows 10. I don't know if Windows 11 will be that when it comes. Yeah.
So if I have a PC but I don't have a Windows 10 product, can you guys give me a discount on Windows 10 product?
You get a free Windows 10 product.
You get one
Really?
license.
Yeah. Not just for Mac people, just everyone gets every Windows 10 license.
Every person gets a Windows 10 license.
And you'll see something in here, you get a discount on Creative Cloud, the Autodesk tools, if that's something you use. So some of these things you may not ever need based on what your major is, but there are a lot of tools out there and a lot of software is provided for free. So if your professor tells you that you're going to be using this software that you don't have, don't freak out. First, ask professor.
Yes.
Almost all of, in fact, all of them, if they've assigned it, then they probably work with it, and they may already even have like, hey, here's the website, go get it.
If there's a cheat sheet on how to
Here's a
get
cheat,
to
yeah.
it, here's the box folder or whatever.
Exactly.
They-
But if
yeah.
they don't know, or if it's confusing what they say, you can always come see us at Moody, at help desk, or at level. We will be there. We also have student workers that are there as well. So between the 25 of us, someone will be able to help you get this set up on your computer. And this other products like SolidWorks, things like that, again, I would worry less for you about what each of those mean, and just know that if a software is required, we will help you get it either for free or through another laptop or
Yeah,
whatever.
there's going to be a way to get it. If you need it for your coursework, for your learning, if there's a way to get it.
Yeah.
It will depend on the software, exactly what that looks like. But like you said, a good place to start is your professor, who probably will know how to get it. Very few of them are going to be like, I don't know, figure it out, because that's, like they're asking you, so they don't have more information.
That would be weird.
All right, another sort of game of I Spy, because there's only one thing in the picture. Does anyone know what this is? Anybody tell me what that is?
Someone knows.
Any ideas? Just throw out a guess. It's the no wrong answers.
You got it right there. You know what it is, the camera.
What kind of camera? Yeah.
Oh,
so,
wow.
So this is a rig of a bunch of GoPro cameras set up in a
GoPros.
circle to film 360 video. So video in 360 degrees. Now this was used by our music department to film a performance of an opera, such that when you watch it, rather than sort of sitting in the audience and kind of watching off the end of the stage, it's like you're standing in the middle of the stage during the performance. It's super cool. 360 video is kind of an emerging technology, part of the larger movement of VR, AR, and XR. But we use this slide to talk about kind of what we hinted at a couple times already. There are labs and workstations and all kinds of custom equipment to help you achieve the specific goals of whatever department and major you're working in. So, like our film and digital media program is going to have computers that are set up to help edit and render video, which is something that like the business major doesn't necessarily need to worry about the same way. But we have machines set up for those kinds of projects. So somewhere on campus there will be technology that's accessible and useful for kind of what you're trying to do in your coursework.
And with that also, just to kind of point out, this was a unique solution to
Yes.
an idea of a problem. How do we record this in a way that's more engaging? And so that's a big part of this also, is as you go into your field, and you start thinking, how can I maybe address this outside the box? And that's where we want you to think of us as ways to not just fix your computer, but help you think of, well, what if we created a 360 rig? You know, we're not going to buy you a bunch of GoPros, but we can totally help you figure out how to make that work.
And this is now moving from just understanding things to translating and communicating it yourself. And that's that next step in the literacy, is sort of solving the problems and answering the questions. So once you're literate, this kind of stuff becomes possible. You can sort of think in the language of whatever you're working in.
Oh.
Yeah. That actually leads pretty well into some spaces and resources available at Moody Library, where we are also located. So I mentioned right at the top of the presentation, I manage the equipment checkout side of Help Desk Plus. What that means is, at the desk, not only do we have people who will help you, we have a bunch of stuff to check out to you as well. We have laptops, we've got computer chargers, we've got phone chargers, headphones, surge protectors,
USB.
every adapter under the sun, USB flash drives, and like 100 other things that are available to check out to you guys as library resources for free. We use a reservation program all that you can go and say, like, oh, I'm going to need a computer for these days, reserve it, all that. Or if your computer breaks, you can be like, oh no, it's broken, I'll go see them at Help Desk Plus, Moody Library. You come down and we're like, yep, it's broken, you have to get your screen fixed, send it off to do that. You can check out like a loaner while your computer's getting worked on, right in the same area, right? So it's a one-stop shop to get all this solved. We also have what we call a media lab, which is that sort of next slide here. This is an AV checkout program. So in addition to computers and things like that, calculators, what have you, we also have camcorders, cameras, audio recorders, microphones, backdrops, tripods, lighting kits, everything you would need for like a video and multimedia project like that. We additionally have some computers that are set up for editing and rendering video that are reservable in the library. We've also got studios. So we have 2 sound isolated audio recording studios with professional grade equipment in them. We've got a big video booth. It's a room that's set up to be as easy as possible. Get a flash drive. You walk in, you plug it in, some lights turn on, you hit record, and it'll count down, and then you just like record your video, and then you hit stop, and you've got like a professional quality video. It's got like nice backdrops in there. There's a TV mounted on the wall, so if you wanted to do a presentation, there'd just be like a screen over your shoulder.
There's a teleprompter you can use.
Yeah, and all this stuff that's set up. It's all DIY, very easy to use. All of that available to you again as a library resource for free. We also have a makerspace in the library. In that makerspace, we have, we have a bunch of tools for making things. This is again getting into that, like answering questions and creating solutions, problem solving, all that kind of stuff. Often that involves making stuff. In this makerspace, we have 6 3D printers. We've got a laser engraver. We have a CNC carver. We have a drill press. We have a vinyl cutter. We have an electronics station, which includes soldering equipment, things like that. I think that's all the equipment.
Plus just hosting their tools.
And we also have staff who are there to help kind of consult and like work through these like sorts of projects that you might have, ideas. We often bring an item as a demo that Luke has in his office that is a tray for like returning laptops, and it was made by a student who used to work at the
Yeah, he
desk.
designed it, like he's an engineer, so he designed it, printed it, and then it has a little wood slat that says like for laptops engraved, and then it has stickers on the other side that says Luke is the bomb.
So it's made from 3D printers, our laser engraver, and our vinyl cutter.
Oh, and he had to like use the drills because the holes weren't quite big enough, and so he used the drill press to make it. It just, the whole thing was thought of, conceived, and created within one room. It was so cool.
Using laptops with
So just imagine, if you can imagine, it's really cool.
It's literally like a tray, but it was crafted all entirely out of stuff in our makerspace. But one downside to our makerspace is it's about the size of this top level platform right here. It's real tiny because spaces are pretty in the libraries. But to help with that, we've partnered with a makerspace downtown here in Waco that has a membership program. You pay to be a member, but you can actually check out a 2-week membership from the library. They have all of our space, all of our equipment, but also most importantly, I think they have great training. So if you're like, I want to learn how to 3D print, you can check out a 2-week pass from us, go to the Maker's Edge, take all their training on 3D printing, and then you're a wizard at it, and it's be like the easiest thing in the world. Same thing with laser engravers and all that. That's sort of a prerequisite to using our equipment. If you guys are interested in this sort of thing, feel free to come by and we can talk more about it. But it's a really cool partnership with a place here in the community at the Maker's Edge. We also have a data visualization studio. This is kind of high-level stuff that's mostly above my pay grade, and I can never talk about too much, but it is very cool. And then one last plug for the bookstore here.
Yeah, basically, so not only, as we already said before, buying the computers, buying the different software, there's also it's a great place for swag. It's also, I think when it iterate again, they are that certified Apple and Dell repair center, so if you do have that warranty you're paid for, you can take things there for the free fix, especially for the hardware related stuff.
And even out of warranty too, it's not only if you have Apple Care, like if you have a 10-year-old Mac, they'll still work on it.
Yep.
And it's good product. They don't like, extort you or anything. It's a competitive.
It's not free, the ARC service is free, but it is very expensive. But if it is under Apple Care, then you already paid for it.
And it is free, yes.
So yeah, just a big note for that. And then lastly, we want to plug, so you have the Baylor Libraries and ITS online. I really want to push following at Baylor ITS on Twitter. If we have outages, for instance, last week we had a big printer outage on campus. If we were to tweet that and say, hey, printers are out, we know they're out, and that way you can know that it's being fixed and be aware of when they come back online. 2 years ago, we had a weird issue where for an afternoon, all the freshmen lost Wi-Fi access. It was weird. But had you been here, one, I probably would have seen you because they all showed up asking us, what's going on? And I didn't have the answer of the why, but if you've been following the ones that did, they knew, oh, okay, it's not my computer, it's not me, it's something happening. And so it's a good way to stay in the loop on things. It's not going to fix the problem, but sometimes just knowing it lets you kind of calm down and be at peace. Because in the end, that's what we want, is we don't want this to be a stressful thing. So that's this presentation. I'm going to, before we move over to this other webpage, want to remind you of the site we're at again. Baylor.edu/helpdesk/tour. Again, add the 2 if you need that. Everything we showed you is available. We want to show you, though, another website that will be very helpful. Baylor.edu/helpdesk. From here, you can access all the different things we talked about. If you need to check out equipment, then from here, you can take you, and all of a sudden, these are all the different things you can check out. The light boards, the equipment, the auto booth. And then from here, you log in, do a push, you check out, you get an email when it's ready, and come see us. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, I mean, it's feel free to peruse this as well. This website is very extensive, has all the equipment and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty intuitive once you get into it.
Also, just things that here you have the walk-up support. This is actually what we look like. Okay. All right, let's see if you can find me.
Little shiny head.
Hey! Here I am.
So this is our desk. This is the Help Desk Plus.
This is the little makerspace area. This is where you can walk up and get help. These are our student workers that help us. And so there's, all in all, at least 4 or 5 of us there usually, ready to help you, whatever that might mean.
So you should come see us.
Call, email, social, click on self-help. And really, I don't want to go through all this because that's a waste of your time, but if you go here, you can find ways to email us, how to call us, also even just ways to help yourself if you just need, how to change my password and you feel like you could do it if you had like one little tidbit of help, come on here, we can show you the way. And if you forget how to do it, you can always come see us at the library in the garden level at Help Desk Plus. I think that is now.
If you guys remember one website, please let it be this one though.
Yeah.
This is going to get you to most everything we talked about in our presentation today. So this one is just like the one URL for remember.
Guys, we're so glad, so thankful that you came here. Glad to have y'all at Baylor. Enjoy the rest of your orientation. Y'all have a great day.